Let me, with honor and privilege, introduce our celebrity guest tonight. Our celebrity guest, he is a successful real estate investor and co-host of the Origin Story podcast, which is so fire. And it's crazy. Just a couple of years ago, he had $0 in the bank. And now he's running two businesses with six-figure monthly incomes. And simply, he did this by being able to connect with the biggest players in the game without having anything to offer in return, but simply showing gratitude and being strategic. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome back to Mr. Sam Singh. Brother, good to have you back, Mr. Sam Singh.
It is it's an honor. It's a complete honor to be back here. You know, the last time I was here, man, was a few months back. And to get a re-invitation is I mean, and I actually told someone this today, that the most important 5-letter word on earth to me is honor. And so when I say that, I'm not downplaying it. I mean it with all my heart and soul. Thank you guys for allowing me a space to come back. And I don't know if it was just that you guys missed me, or if you were bored, or if whoever you actually wanted was not available. But regardless, I am going to take that spotlight, and I hope I can bring that discussion that we had several months ago. It was a phenomenal discussion about the intangible stuff that no one ever really talks about in any level of meaningful capacity. And the cool thing is, that's a conversation that I think when we had the call, it went on for maybe an hour or two. And then you, me, and the boys, we probably stayed on for additional 2-3 hours behind the scenes after really just going PhD level on that. And my true hope today is that we can go ahead and bring a lot of that to life for everyone here. And so, guys, without a shadow of a doubt, it means the world to me for you guys to be able to make the time here. I've always been saying this. A lot of people hate me for saying it, but this is one of those hills that I'm okay dying on. And that is that normal people are made Monday through Friday. Millionaires are made on Saturdays, but billionaires are made on Sundays. So the fact that y'all are showing up here, I mean, in evening, I mean, it's 8 p.m., 9 p.m. for some of you guys on the East Coast, and you guys are still here looking to find ways to get better. I mean, damn right, billionaires are made on Sundays. So thank you. Thank you all. Y'all could have been doing a lot of fun stuff tonight, but y'all are here. And that speaks highly, not of me, it speaks highly of, number one, the leadership here with Trev, with Marcel, with Victor. And it speaks highly to each and every one of you. And it shows that you guys are all trying to do something astronomically special, which is create better lives for you and your family. So thank you all.
Come on. Sam, it was a done deal after we wrapped up last time with you that we got to get you slotted in down the road. So that was a no-brainer, brother. That was a no-brainer. I want to jump into something really quick here, because we really want to unpack the matter of proximity is power. But we do have several new people here for the first time in an activation Zoom, and maybe they don't know who Sam Singh is. So your backstory is incredible. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a couple minutes, because you're a person, we want to know a little bit about you, Sam Singh, and obviously we're going to get to proximity is power, but man, give us a little bit of a backstory. Who is Sam Singh? Where'd you come from? And kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I'd love to. So for anyone here who it's your first call, I mean, props to you. Like, and if you guys are new to real estate and you found yourself, there's a lot of communities you could fall into, right? And I'm in a lot of them. I'll tell you right now, this is one of the best communities for you all to be able to fall into. And if this is your first call, holy crap, thank you all so much. I mean, that's amazing. That's a privilege for me to share this time with you. But yeah, a little bit about me. So I am actually still relatively new. Trev, I still feel like you and me are still pretty young in this game, man. I mean, I know it's, we're kind of speaking from a level of authority here, but guys, my background before I got into this industry, actually I was a collegiate tennis player. And then after that, I used to work in the world of law enforcement, especially on the federal side. And about 2 years ago, I graduated grad school, and that sounds amazing, and it sounds fun, and it sounds all like super cool from a resume standpoint. But the reality is I'm just a kid from the hood who was raised by a single mom, who at the right time, in the right moment, enough people reached out to me to pull me forward. And the reality is I'm just a kid who was raised by a single mom in the California ghetto. And I'm just on a mission to make sure that her sacrifices didn't go to waste. So when I graduated grad school about 2.5 years ago, I realized the things that I was doing for the federal government were amazing and they were fun and I had purpose in them, but I couldn't do the special things that I wanted to do in life unless I upgraded my capacity. And that quite literally means gaining more resources, gaining more connections, getting more money. And I ended up finding my way into this amazing real estate community. And that was the first one that I ever got into. And I learned everything I knew about real estate from that space, from that group, from that family. And in a very short amount of time, I'll be the first to admit I'm a complete outlier. I'm a complete outlier. I got lucky over and over and over again. And the luck wasn't in the money that I made. The luck was in the mentors that I got. So lo and behold, got into the world of real estate investing with literally no money in my pocket. My bank account was actually negative because I was just coming out of grad school. I was broke as a joke. And I only had one thing to deliver, and that was my time. That was my time. And I became a closer and I started just pounding the phones. And 4 months in, this is like kind of the cool thing. It's kind of when I arrived. My 4th month in real estate, I had my first ever 6-figure month. Did my first ever 6-figure month. I made $121,250 in my 4th month of the game. And from there, I quickly realized what is a principal topic that we're going to talk about tonight is that doing the things that I was doing got me to that point where it allowed me to make 121 grand in 30 days. But if I wanted to level up and if I wanted to get better and if I wanted to become better in all aspects of life, I needed help because I couldn't do it on my own. And that's when I truly started understanding the power of proximity. It's when we'll get into this a little bit later, but it's when I started finding myself in some extremely fortunate, intangible rooms. I don't know if I deserved to be there. I don't know if God was just looking after me and he said, hey, kid, go here, meet these people. They're going to change your life. And hopefully you can go and deliver a talk to the MFC community down the road and give some value. Maybe that's what I'm here for.
Come on, come on.
The rest of that truly is history ever since we've astronomically scaled. Both of my businesses are actually doing tremendously well, so much to the point where this is going to sound like bragging, and I hope you guys don't take it as such, but we're at a point now. This is actually because of proximity. This decision that I made is because of proximity, where I had a mentor sit me down, audit everything I was doing in life right now, everything. And they looked at 2 businesses that I was running that were collectively making $120,000 per month. And then they made me do the uncomfortable thing and shut those 2 down because those 2 were distractions.
Whoa.
They were true distractions to the $1 billion company that we have right now that we're building. So I could focus on that completely. So proximity is great, guys. Proximity will allow you to soar astronomically. It will allow you from being a broke kid from the California ghetto all the way to doing a 6-figure month. Proximity is also going to be the thing that will allow you to have your blind sides covered. And that was actually very recent, was that I was succeeding and I was making money. And then I had a mentor looking after me saying, hey, what got you to point A is not going to get you, what got you to point A is not going to get you to point B. And if you want to go to point C, you probably have to demolish everything you think you know about the world. And that's kind of the phase that we're in right now. So a little bit about me, guys. But I will say this, guys, there's someone who I'm astronomically proud of, and that's actually Trevor Walker. Trevor, you and I, we go a long way back, man. And when you and I first met, it was a very special encounter because from the second that I first met you, I knew you were a special human being. And every step of the way, I've seen you just do everything right. And it's not to say that you didn't fail at some point, because those successes are indicators of failures that you've learned from. But man, I want to commend you because every time, without a shadow of a doubt, whether I'm traveling, whether I'm sick, whether I feel like crap or not, anytime I look at you, you are there showing up over and over and over again. And I remember Trevor Walker without MFC. But moving forward, I can't imagine a world where Trevor Walker doesn't have MFC anymore.
Come on,
brother, thank you so much, man. It's been an inspiration to me.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. I appreciate that, bro. That hits, man. That hits me right here to the core. And thank you for sharing that. That really means a lot. I've been activated, everybody. I'm ready to rock and roll this week. Come on. Sam, that was awesome. And I love how you always incorporate stories to convey the principle and drive home the point. Speaking of stories, I have some questions that I want to ask you to really continue unpacking this matter of power proximity. But you kind of left us with a little teaser the last time we had you on. And you said something to the effect of, ask me about how I ended up in Ed Milet's house, like chilling with the homies. Something like that. So I'm wondering if now is an okay time for you to now reveal that story to the Freedom Chasers community. Or if you have something, if you have a more epic story than that, that conveys the power of proximity, feel free to fire that away. But no, that's been stirring in the back of my mind ever since you kind of dropped that little teaser on us last time.
Okay, amazing. Y'all know, does everyone here know who Ed Milet is? Does that name ring a bell? Anyone? Or is that just like some random nobody that's not a big deal at all? Ed Milet is arguably, and in my opinion, the greatest public speaker on earth. I would say he is probably the greatest storyteller that the world has probably seen in a very, very long time. He is an astronomically special human being. He's an amazing entrepreneur. And it is a privilege to be able to now not just say that I've hung out with him, but to now be able to say that he is somewhat of a friend or a person that I can reach out to, and I know that I'll get the time of day, which is kind of special because that man is a legitimate billionaire, right? He's also one of the most sought after people on earth, so much so where people are paying him hundreds of thousands of dollars just to speak on a stage. So to that point, guys, how does broke as a joke Sam Singh get to a point where he gets and goes and gets personally invited to Ed Milet's house to hang out with him, hang out with guys like Rob Riggle, who's a movie star, hang out with pro athletes? It was an insane room that I was in that day. And it actually is all because of proximity. And it's actually going to be about a lot of the tactics, probably what we're going to talk about today, is something that you mentioned very clearly in the beginning, and that was the origin story. So if anyone who doesn't know, if you're not familiar with me, I say, and I've always said this to all my friends, the reason for my success is not because of my understanding of business. It is not because of my understanding of money. The reason for my success is rooted in this special little show called The Origin Story. And The Origin Story is a free podcast that I was reluctantly roped into doing by my partner, Logan Manzanares, who's also one of the best human beings I've ever met. And he pulled me and he was just like, Sam, I like you. And I'm like, great, I like you too. He's like, we need to do something together. And I'm like, what? Like wholesale, buy deals, fix and flip? What are you thinking? He's like, no, you've got a nice voice. I'm like, thank you. It means a lot to me.
Low-key, you have a really nice voice. I agree with that.
Thank you. It's funny. People think that. Then they hear me and Logan on the podcast. They hear him. They're like, okay, Sam, step away. You're like, you're not special anymore. And he says, Sam, we're going to do a podcast. And I'm like, hell no. Like, I don't listen to podcasts. I don't like podcasts. To this day, guys, I've actually never listened to one of my own podcasts ever. And I plan on never doing it again, or never doing it at all. And so he says, let's do it. We're just going to learn. We're going to take action. We're going to bring people on. We're going to connect. And hopefully it's going to allow us to grow, but we just have to do it. And I said, you know what? Fine. It's not like I had a choice in the matter anyways. And there was this insane, unique domino effect looking back at it. And this is the power of being present on social media, guys. We ended up, by luck, at the right time, having a great mentor of mine on The Origin Story. His name is Kent Clothier. And if you guys don't know Kent Clothier, one of his big claims to fame is that at the age of 30, he was running a business that was taking in almost $2 billion a year. Kent Clothier is the guy that you go to right now to scale. If you're making 7 figures and want to get to 8, you go to Kent. Going from 8 to 9, you go to Kent. If you're running a 9-figure business and you want to make $1 billion exit, you go to Kent. We lucked our way into him. I think he had an event to promote, so it was kind of fortuitous for us. We got him on. Josh says that Origin Story with Kent Clothier was awesome. Dude, absolutely. Think Big is an amazing podcast here every Tuesday with my homies. It's a great time as well. But we had Kent on. And then, holy crap, that was a massive learning lesson for me because I got to spend an hour and a half uninhibited with one of the greatest entrepreneurs on earth. And it started allowing me to think big, think bigger. And lo and behold, after that, there's no way in hell I could bring value to that man outside of giving him somewhat of a spotlight. And I start being active on social media. One of my other really amazing friends challenges me to doing this really weird thing. And I want you all to do this. I swear to God, this actually changed my life. I can prove it. It's there. It's been done. I can say it. And I've made a ton of money because of it. I was challenged by a friend of mine to go live on Instagram stories every single day for 30 days straight and to put some money on the line. So every day that I missed, I would have to give money away. And I did that 30 days straight. And for whatever reason, the algorithm supported it, and it allowed me to get around a human being who was paying attention to me. And his name, you guys might know him, his name is Naaman Taylor. Naaman Taylor has become a brother to me. He's a friend. And he just saw that I was going live a lot. He didn't ever watch my lives. Because you have to, when you're scrolling on Instagram, you see someone's live, you're like, oh, I don't want to join because they're going to see that I joined. They're going to try to
That's right.
It's a little awkward, right?
Yes, yes.
I think he was doing a little bit of that. And then eventually he chimed in and started paying attention. Naaman and I connected. We hit it off. And then just because he's got an amazing story, I'm like, bro, come back on the podcast. We'll talk about podcasts in a bit, guys. Come back on the podcast. Let's talk. Let's have a discussion. Let me hear your origin story. And what I was able to do was give him a meeting, a time, a safe place for him to go into some levels of self-therapy. And I think Naaman had a few breakthroughs that night with me and Logan. And then this is the human world. I mean, it's the most amazing thing. It's a law of reciprocity, something that Trev, you and I have talked about, is the law of reciprocity so often. Naaman had an emotional breakthrough. He had a spiritual breakthrough, something to that effect. Some issues in his life were resolved that night on the podcast. I didn't know that Naaman Taylor was actually one of Kent Clothier's top students. I didn't know that there was an intangible connection on the back end. So what does Naaman do? Naaman, to pay me back for allowing him a space to feel okay, he goes and buys me a $3,000 ticket to one of Kent's events in Miami. So guys, like, this is all add up to Ed Milet, I swear. So Ed Clothier, awesome, amazing. I have no freaking clue how to drive more value to this human being because he coaches billionaires. What am I going to do? Naaman Taylor, I give him intangible human relational value. He books me a $3,000 ticket to Miami for about a week. I go and spend time there with Kent, meet him in the flesh. And there's a different proximity to meeting people in the flesh, guys. I swear to God, there is. I spend time with him. I spend time with Naaman. We really start bonding and connecting. Out of that event, a select handful of people were basically invited or put on a small private list to go and do something really special. And that is to go hang out with Ed Milet. And out of that group, a special subset of people were handpicked by the powers that be to actually go and hang out at Ed Milet's house with him. And so, guys, by the way, at this point, guess how much money I've spent this entire time to hang around with a guy doing 1.8 billion. Naaman Taylor, who's arguably one of the biggest branders out there right now, up and coming. You guys should all follow him. He's amazing. And then getting to a point where I can go down to SoCal in Palm Springs and hang out at Ed Milet's home. Spent $0 freaking dollars so far.
Wow.
Then I go into Ed's room, and then, you know what, guys? Give me 1 sec. My laptop's gonna die. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'm gonna keep talking.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep talking.
All right.
So you guys still hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We can hear you, brother.
So Ed, make sure this is actually working. Is this on? Is that thing actually on? Oh, that's weird. Oh no, that's not good.
Oh, what's going on, bro?
It's not charging. Okay, there we go. We're beautiful. We're working. Are we working? I don't know, guys. This
We can hear you. We can hear you, man. We just can't see you yet. Yep. We can hear you. We just can't see you.
Amazing. I'm just like running around the room right now, trying to like try different outlets.
Yeah. We can hear your audio fading in and out. Do what you got to do, bro.
Oh man, this is not going to be fun if this doesn't work.
Sam, can I fire a question away while you're running around trying to Figure the
You
plug stuff out.
absolutely should.
Okay, man. Okay. I think something that it's popped into my mind in the past, it still does, but not as much for just because of the help from guys like you and building on some experience. But I think it's pretty standard from somebody new in any space, right? That they're like, okay, I want to go and connect with so and so. They're a baller. They own X amount of millions of real estate. They have own X amount of businesses doing X amount of revenue.
Mhm.
And they ask themselves, how can I be something of value to someone that seems to have it all? What would you say to that?
Oh, this is so good. This is a question that, if I remember correctly, we kind of dived into a little bit way back when. And
Mm-hmm.
that is, guys, the answer to that is simple, is that we have to be careful with how we define what value is to another human being. And an element of that is, guys, like I'm going to speak motivationally right now as I'm like looking for an outlet to plug things into. So just stick with me.
We're with you, brother.
The reality is this, guys, there are different levels of value, right? And an element of discernment is understanding what type of value you can actually give someone. Now, for a lot of people, the type of value you can give someone, okay, I think we're plugged in. Oh my God. Are we plugged in? And we are plugged in. Let's go.
Come on.
Next billionaire that I hang out with, I'm gonna crowdsource. I'm gonna make sure they can buy me a new laptop. So guys, there's different ways to give human beings value, right? And people need to receive value in different unique ways. I think there's ways to give value monetarily, right? Sometimes you pay the $50,000 a year mentorship check, and guys, I've paid that check. And if you're new, you're not going to pay that check. I get it. I wasn't there. Right now, I cut the line by I pay over $100,000 a year in mentorship, in masterminding. It's amazing. But in the beginning, you have to also understand and accept that right now it is going to be difficult for you to bring any money to this human being, because this person makes so much more money than you even know how to, right? They may not have a product for you, or their product's too expensive, and that's okay. The reality is this, guys, we're all human beings. We're all relationally bound, and all human beings have this unique underlying common denominator, and that's wanting to belong and wanting people around them who actually give a damn about them. And this is another thing that I've always preached, is that anyone who's worth over $100 million has an emotional intelligence level, an EIQ, that is so freaking high that they can spot a taker a mile away. And these people who are making over 100 million a year, and they move industry, they're captains of industry. They have become used to people coming into their ecosystem only looking to do one thing, and that is to take. And they spot it a mile away. They'll entertain them. Why? Because this is their life, right? They've accepted this is the price they have to pay for the greatness that is living their life. Now, the reality is, if you actually walk into that room and your focus is truly to put all the money aside, all the accolades aside, all the business prowess aside, and all you want to focus on is being present with that human being and being a friend, being a brother, being a sister, being an advocate for, not for their business, but for their spirit, their soul, their human nature, being a protector of them against the others. It is one of the most unique, intangible ways to become bonded with a human being. So much so where I was at an event with a really good friend of mine. He's become a big brother to me. He had an event where they sold a high ticket product, and they did a VIP event. And in this event, they had all these people who had spent 35 grand to be there that night. And I was just the friend that got invited. And I was still worried that like our friendship wasn't cemented yet, right? I just thought like, oh, cool, Sam's in town. Sam, come through. It is what it is. This person wanted me to stay pretty much the entire night and hang out. And I'm like, dude, you've got 125 people here who all paid you 35 grand to be here. You owe it to them to be present with them, not to be present with me. And then he pulled me to the side, and I'll never forget it. He said, Sam, how many people are here? And I'm like, 125. And he's like, well, I had the doorman check. There's about 150 people here. I'm like, damn, it's a lot of people. He said, how many of them do you think actually give a damn about me? I'm like, I think they all do. They paid an astronomical amount of money to be here. He's like, no, Sam, how many of them do you think actually know my middle name? And I was like, holy crap. He's like, Sam, if I died tomorrow, how many of them do you think will even think about me next week? And when he said this, I could feel the emotional and spiritual disconnect that he had. And I could see that in a room full of 150 something people, that he felt completely freaking alone. And this is something that I've realized every time I hang out with guys like this, they are so aware of the takers around them that they are all alone, and they sometimes feel like they're on an island. You guys have heard this phrase, I'm sure, in life. You never want to be on an island. Why? Because it means you're alone. And very often the people who are surrounded by groupies, surrounded by fans, they're some of the loneliest people you'll ever meet. And for whatever reason, not by saying it, not by anything, he and I actually don't talk very much. Every time I'm around him, he just feels that my energy is actually to look after him. There is no underlying motivation on the end. To this day, I'm actually not a client of any of his products. Never bought them, never used them. He and I have never made a dime together. All I've done is I brought him on the podcast. And then every time I'm with him, I showcase that I'm there to be an advocate for him, his livelihood, his mental well-being. And I actually just want to spend time with not the billionaire, because he's a billionaire, but the guy himself. And so when we talk, we don't talk about business. We don't talk about money. We talk about fun stuff. We talk about, he's a big fan of racing. So we talk about Formula One race cars, and he teaches me about that. And I let him geek out about things like that. We talk about going to Monte Carlo and skydiving. And we talk about buying a yacht one day. We always talk about buying a catamaran and disappearing for a year. And then this is how you know this is so special. He said, one of these days, I want to make $1 billion exit from this company that I'm building. I'm going to buy a catamaran and I'm going to disappear for a year. And I get to shut off all those voices. And he says, the only voices that I want on that catamaran are my family, my true best friends. And he said, Sam, I want you on that boat too. And the cool thing is this, and this guy like legitimately is a billionaire, very young too. The awareness they have of everybody around them is astronomically high. If you could just be that one person, and you guys can say, Sam, well, how do we do that? How do we tactically do that? And
yeah. I wanted to jump in here really quick here, Sam, because this is like so good. Because I remember you telling me this when we had a conversation back in the day. And I think it's important for the audience, for the Freedom Chaser fam, to really put this and ingrain it within themselves with such a realization that people are human beings at the end of the day, and that common ground that we share as humanity, there are certain inherent needs that must be met. And I think, Sam, when you and I talked about this, I gave the example of the high profile collegiate athletes that I knew that I practiced with. I didn't really play with them, I practiced with them. And how the more high profile that they were, outwardly they seemed that they had everything, but inwardly they probably had more lack than me because of the position that they were in. And that translates a lot to some of these folks right here. So it's always good to remember there is a holistic need that comes from our humanity, that somebody that seemingly may have no value to bring on the business side of things can absolutely fill FILL on the personal side of things. And that's where you guys, and like myself, can bring massive value to somebody that seems levels and levels above. So I wanted to, yeah, what's up, brother?
That's so good, man. And just to piggyback off that, and you're highlighting that the value is not transactional. The value is actually energy, because people need energy. It's something that a long time ago I never would have understood, because I thought energies and auras and all this stuff was like hippie stuff. And then, but now that I'm realizing that like there is a truth to this, so much so where one of my best friends and I, his name's Marlon Johnson, he and I just went on tour for like 2 weeks together. We flew across the country. We were all over the country, and we spoke on several different stages in about a week and a half time frame. And we got used to, and it was a great thing. We got used to the meet and greet and the people wanting to just basically know everything about, Sam, how do I make 6 figures this next 30 days? And I get that, because you have an intention, and that is to feed your family. I totally understand that. But after the 300th person who comes to me to meet me, you start understanding that this is the next person who just wants the blueprint, right? And then someone broke, guys, this is one of the greatest things, like this is one of the dopest things I've learned about humanity, is there's a circadian rhythm to all of us. Now, I'm not talking about sleep. You guys know that you guys have REM cycles in your sleep, and our bodies have a circadian rhythm. There is a circadian rhythm to how we perceive other human beings. And there is a power to learning how to disrupt someone else's circadian rhythm. So Marlon and I were speaking across the country. We were traveling, we were tired, but every time we had to go into an event, we had to be on because we had to perform and feel good. And then it was towards the end of our travel spree where he and I like are tired. We've been averaging 2 hours a night of sleep. I think we did nine flights in a week and a half. It was brutal.
Wow.
And then an amazing woman, her name is Pauline Stegman, walked by Marlon and I during like the lunch break. And he and I know at this point, if there's a lunch break, guess what's going to happen? We're not going to be able to eat because we're going to have a line of people who want to get one-on-one time, and that's okay. We're all about it. And then she could immediately see that our will to live was dying. And then she came up to us, and she stunned both of us. Because as a mother and as a maternal human being, she looked at both of us, put her hands on both our shoulders, and said, "Have you boys had enough to eat yet, or can I get you more food?" And it was the most maternal, motherly thing that I've heard like in a long time, even from my own mother. Like I had to like call my mom after that and tell her, "You need to do better." And literally me and Mara looked at each other and like we both got a little teary. We were like, this is someone who actually cares about us. And then we're like, no, we're good. We're eating. She's like, "Are you sure? Like, sit down. I'll go get you more food." And she like tried to leave, not get time with us, not talk to us, not try to get the blueprint for business or anything like that. She just wanted to make sure that we were okay and that we were eating, because as a mother, she understands that like the boys need to eat. And in that moment, she disrupted our circadian rhythm. And I challenge everyone here today to basically look at whoever you're talking to, look at whoever you want to be around, and then you'll see it. You guys have ever gone and like hung out with someone who's like semi-famous and they're like doing meet and greet? It's like this linear pattern, right? Where the meet and greet happens like, okay, I'm going to talk to you. We're going to talk. We're going to shake hands. We're going to take the photo. Great. I'm going to scope out who's next. You. Okay, come on here. We're going to do the thing. We're going to take a photo. We're going to move on. Then you. And they go through the motions and it becomes robotic, right? Yep. If they talk to 50 people, I swear to God, they're going to take a step back and then they're going to feel freaking tired. They're going to feel jaded. This happened to me at an event in LA, someone really special, and this will always stand out to me. I had probably talked to, and I'm guys, like, I'm nobody. Now imagine being freaking Ed Milet, right? Or imagine being Alex Hermosi. I had spoken to probably about 92, I think the count was about 92 people straight back to back to back to back in a 2-hour meet and greet session. And then one of the guys was observing me, and this guy is so observant. He's a law enforcement officer, and these guys just watch and they observe. And then he comes up to me with 2 glasses of water, and he's just like, "Dude, you're gonna lose your voice. Like, don't like." And he said this. He's like, "I'm gonna use the time frame that I have with you when you're supposed to be talking to me. I don't want you to say anything to me. Drink both of these cups of water, take a breather, and I'm just gonna let you have a piece. I'm gonna use my slot to talk with you for 5 minutes of peace to you."
Wow.
And holy crap, it was the most beautiful thing ever. It was the most amazing thing ever. He didn't ask me any questions about business, didn't try to get my phone number, didn't try to alert, didn't try to get a connection through me. All he did was look after me. And this person and I, now we talk at least once a week.
Beautiful.
And it's like, this guy, whenever he needs it, whether he wants a blueprint, whatever he needs, like that's going to be, and that was my first impression of him. That was my first impression of Pauline, was the mother looking after her sons. And it's like, so with this person, this billionaire, it's the same thing. They're surrounded by people who only want to take from them, be the one person around them who actually doesn't give a damn about that and actually cares about them as a person. Take an interest in what they want to do, take an interest in the things they like. And it becomes really, 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 really freaking easy. And I had this event in Jacksonville that I spoke at, me and Marlon did. And this young girl, she's such a sweetheart. She came up to me. She's like, "I don't know what value to give." And I'm like, and she was so endearing and loving, and the energy, she literally had no idea what to say to me, but I could tell she was overwhelmed just at meeting us. And this was so true. I told her that the energy you give like breathes life into people. And it's like, that is so, so, so critical. So when you guys are meeting someone who's worth 100 million and they own, $100 million of real estate or $1 billion of real estate, whatever it is, it's really easy to actually spot what they're lacking in life, because around them, there's a theme. There's truly a theme with how people treat them, how people talk to them, how people take from them. But then it's actually very, very, very easy to be the polar opposite. It's one of the easiest things that you guys will ever find. And then I can't tell you tactically what it is. I could say, yeah, go and get them a glass of water because someone did it for me. Go and ask them, hey, boys, have you guys actually eaten enough? And that, I swear to God. And she has like a almost like a Maori accent. And it's like very Polynesian and it's very maternal. And I was like, that just hit me in my soul. It's extremely intuitive, right? So see what they need and then just be the person who provides it. And it becomes really, really, really easy to start building these relationships. And the big thing is this, guys, and I think this is something you have to do with yourself. This is not a tactic. This is not a technique. But when you're about to enter that room and when you're about to get through that door, you need to have an agreement with yourself. And that agreement is simply put, I am probably never going to come back into this room. And that is okay. I am not going to have any future interactions with anyone in this room. And that's okay. So what energy do I want to leave these people with? Do I want to be the guy that comes in and asks a million and one questions? Or do I want to be the person that actually goes in and makes these people like renew their sense of like peace and humanity and peace of mind? And so when I leave, they want me back. And every time I literally will have this like discussion with myself before I'm about to enter a room full of billionaires. I did the exact same thing at Ed Milet's house. Walking up to his house, holy crap. Huge, freaking insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And like, just so you guys know, he like lives like 2 doors down from like Justin Bieber, and Michael Jordan lives 2 doors down from that. Like that was the neighborhood that we were in. And me and my buddy, we both like, got the invite. We literally walked up there and like we looked at each other and we're like, no matter what happens, we are expecting to never be re-invited. We are expecting that any relationship or person that we meet here will not come out with us. So all we're going to do is we're going to pour our love and our admiration and most importantly, our gratitude into every human being there. And then we ended up becoming the cheesy freaking kids that went to every super big socialite athlete. There were some politicians there. There were movie stars there. We literally went to all of them. And all we did is like, we were just like kids in a candy store. And we let that energy. And guys, like people hate this. People hate this. They never want to be the kid in the candy store because it makes you feel lesser. I love that shit. With me, I'm going to go up to all these billionaires and they're going to be like, hey, I'm the CEO of ExxonMobil and I make $1 trillion a year. Great. My name's Sam Singh. I graduated grad school last year and I made $10 yesterday. And it's like just that tone of just being happy to freaking be here. And we were so honest with this. We met Rob Riggle, who's if you guys have watched Step Brothers, you guys seen Step Brothers, that movie with Will Ferrell and all these people? Chris is telling me that she has to leave. Chris, I freaking love you. Thank you so much for being here. So Step Brothers, Rob Riggle, he's the guy who's very much he does like the pow thing and he just yells. He's in a bunch of movies, in like 21 Jump Street and all this kind of stuff. We met him at Ed Milet's house. We were like, that's the dude from Step Brothers. And then he asked us, like, what do we do? Because he's like, are you guys athletes? Are you politicians? Are you like billionaires? And then we straight up, we're like, no, we're just some real estate investors. And honestly, one thing led to another. And it's kind of like a comedy movie. And some way, somehow, we're both at Ed Milet's house. And he busted out laughing. And he thought it was the most adorable thing on earth. And so James asked, is that like a turnoff for certain folks being fanboys? So here's the thing. Don't be a fanboy. Don't be a fanboy, but show tremendous gratitude for being in a room that you're in that has extraordinary people in it. There's nothing.
Actually, let's pause right here, Sam, because that's really good, right? That's a very huge distinction between being extremely thankful and putting off a giving energy versus being fanboy and wanting to take. And so, dude, I'm looking at the clock. It's like this time is going by way too fast again, man. But I want you to unpack a little bit about vibe. vibe, because there you can give us tips and tricks in this example and that example, but like what you said, connecting with big time people that have the high emotional IQ, and they're going to be able to sense the vibe that you're giving off. So how about you talk about what kind of, let's call it inner work, to get yourself into a frame and a state that you're, the vibe that you give is a giving vibe, while staying true and authentic in the moment of where you're at as a newbie, as somebody who's just starting, whatever that is, right? Could you unpack that a little bit? Well, does that make sense?
No, it absolutely does. And I think that one of the things that you can do in the moment truly is take a moment of reflection when no one else is looking, before you walk in that room, when you're in the hallway, before the doors open, before the butler lets you in, whatever the room is, right? Whatever the freaking room is, take a moment not to show gratitude for the room that you're going into. Take a moment to show gratitude for everything that you've actually already been through. And that was a massive, massive, massive thing for me, because a lot of times what you're basically trying to combat here, Trev, without like saying it, is you're trying to combat being a taker. How is your vibe and your energy? How do we subliminally show everyone that we're not here to take, but we're here to give, we're here to pour? How do we actually do that? We do that by literally reflecting on our lives and saying, like, the shitty things that my mom had to go through as a single mom to raise 4 boys, I am so grateful for that. I am grateful for the fact that we grew up on food stamps and welfare and Section 8. I am astronomically grateful for all the lessons that taught me. And guess what? I'm also grateful for the Uber driver who drove me here. And I'm grateful that his life experiences resulted in him being an Uber driver for me to be here today. Be grateful for every single moment of your life, even the tragedies, even the horrible things that happened, because some way, somehow, all those things snowballed and they stacked on top of each other like little tiny Lego bricks to create a masterpiece that is your life. And that's the person that gets to show up. And you choose how you choose to show up. You choose whether you're going to take from that room or you're going to give to it with your energy. And it's so easy to make the differentiation. It truly, truly, truly is, because there's going to be all these people who just want to take in that room. Be the one person who has so much gratitude, it's abundant. They can feel it. Guys, if you guys don't realize this, humans grow through one core principle above all else. We learn through this thing called osmosis. And osmosis is that through close physical proximity, we will inherently, whether we like it or not, take on the traits of others. Without a shadow of a doubt. If I put you in the ghetto, in a neighborhood that is dominated by a specific gang, 9 times out of 10, I can almost guarantee you will go down a life of crime for that gang. If I drop you, if I reset your life and I drop you in the middle of Beverly Hills in a subdivision full of rich people, I can almost guarantee that you will be a financial success. We learn through osmosis. And in that room, people are actually learning through osmosis about each other. You can be in a room and you can see who's being a fanboy. You can see who's being a taker. You can see who won't shut the hell up. And you can also see who's just happy to be here, and they're just there to love on each other. They're there to love on the moment on each other, show gratitude for their past life, for all the sacrifices. Like me, I take so much gratitude and joy in the fact that we grew up on Section 8 and welfare and food stamps and EBT and the whole 9. You guys are in Cali. We had that little Cali gold card that you could go to freaking grocery stores with and had the picture of California on it, and it's a California Advantage. It was a universal card in California that said you were broke as shit. I am so freaking grateful for that, so that when I go into a room full of billionaires and they have private catering with like these Michelin 5-star chefs or whatever the hell they are, making food that I can't even pronounce, I walk into that room being grateful for the $1.59 McChicken that I grew up on. And then it allows me to go into that room and truly receive the blessings that are there without taking. There is an element, guys, there's a differentiation between receiving and taking, right? When you take, it's forceful. There's animosity to it. There's an intent to steal. There's another difference when it comes down to receiving. So go into these rooms, be abundant in your presence, be abundant in your energy, be abundant in your love on all of these people, and you will inherently receive. And then the cool thing about coming out of that room, coming out of that house with Ed Milet, after everyone was kicked out that night, because Ed had to go to sleep, we probably spent about 5 hours with a group of people, I'm not going to name their names, but they're some of the biggest entrepreneurs on earth right now. And with two of those people, I'm actually, just because we spent 5 hours just talking, literally in Ed's driveway, and eventually the community security like had to kick us out of the driveway because like, you can't be here like this late. It was like 2 a.m. And they were like, we just got to know each other. And that entire time, they were like, yeah, this is what we do. We run an agency. We make $4.4 bajillion a month, all this kind of stuff. And I got to tell them like, hey, I just started wholesale, this thing called wholesale 6 months ago. And I made 10 grand last week. Like that's my thing, right? And then they loved it. They absolutely loved it because there was no mask, there was no facade. Guys, you guys know those old masquerade balls back in the day, those super, super, super cool things. Don't go into a masquerade ball. Go into a ball, don't wear a mask, be yourself, be vulnerable, be authentic. And here's the thing, like there's going to be people who hate that. There will be elitists in the room who don't like the kid who lucked his way into the room. You guys don't think I know that there was people in that room who were pretty pissed off that a broke ass kid and his best friend got into that room that day? I'm sure they were pissed off. But guess what? That's not the person that I'm meant to build a relationship with. So what did that person do? They did me the favor of removing themselves from being a contender of my attention. We never interacted. I never got to know them. I wish them nothing but the best. But the people who were going to gravitate towards me, who loved the energy, we're friends now. We're collaborating now. One of them, I'm actually trying to throw a massive 5,000 person event in Vegas next year. These are the intangible growth factors that will happen. I mean, I know that we talked about being a little bit tactical today. This might, like Trev, I'm just saying we might have to do it a third time because we always like go kind of off the rails with the intangibility stuff. But I do want to talk about ideally about like, guys, get these relationships. Like the most important thing is how the hell do you capitalize on them down the road? Like you have to have a tactical vehicle. For me, it's the podcast. I would love it. I know we don't have time tonight. I would love to be able to show you guys how I use the podcast very, very strategically to build the greatest relationships ever. And Trev, you know a little bit about it, like so much so where you guys know like Jerry Norton. You guys know Jerry Norton, right? Flipping Mastery. I think
that's right. Yep.
He's probably one of the biggest names in the history of our industry. Well, his wife is coming on the podcast tomorrow. Jerry's coming on the podcast in about a month or two. And then we haven't decided where, because I don't know where he's going to be, because he might be in Montana, he might be in Arizona, or he might be in Puerto Rico. I'm going to be hopefully flying out to film on his podcast. And lo and behold, I'm still the kid who was just broke his joke 2 years ago. And one thing with Jerry, guys, is that Jerry doesn't give a shit about how many deals I do. He cares that you have a business. He cares that you perform to some degree. Jerry cares about the energy and like, are you going to take? And I've been around Jerry enough times. I've been in his home enough times for him to see how I show up. And every single time I show up, it's always with Jerry. I don't know why the heck you decided to be delusional and let me in your house today, but I'm freaking glad you did. And I leave it at that. And then by the end of the night, I'll mingle, I'll entertain other people. By the end of the night, before you leave, you always want to show a moment of heartfelt gratitude. I've done that enough times. And I think he's like, okay, this kid doesn't want to take. He's going to receive, and he will try to pour back in the ways that he can. If you guys just show up with that energy, that emphasis, that intention, be obsessed with being authentic and vulnerable. Guys, someone told me this today. I had a very long discussion with someone who's gone through a lot of strife in their life. This person, if you guys have ever heard of this book, it's a scary book. It's called The 48 Laws of Power. If anyone's ever heard of it, you guys have known that it's banned in a lot of prisons because it is basically a manuscript on how to emotionally and mentally manipulate other human beings. And it is wildly powerful. I had an hour or 2 hour discussion with a human being who very much weaponized that book to take advantage of other people. This person has since seen the light. They've found God, and they're basically on a path of redemption for all the wrong they've done. And one thing that was really evident on this call with this human being is that he owns it, and he talks about vulnerability. And the reality is no one on earth actually shows up vulnerable to a new interaction. When we show up to a new interaction with someone who's a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever, we try to, usually our gut instinct is to be something more than we actually are. And
Yep.
as a guy who's used the 48 laws of power, use masks to take advantage of other people, especially weaponizing things like NLP, neuro linguistic programming, to do so, he knows that. Now, in an effort to combat that completely, he actually has an obsession with showing up to every room, not authentic, because he's always authentic, but vulnerable. And how does he do that?
Mm.
He'll actually own up immediately. Jumped on a call with him. It was the first conversation he and I ever had one-on-one. And he basically, before starting, hey, before you actually get to know me, I think I want to honor you by owning up to all the bullshit I've done in life to get me to this point. And he basically went on a 30-minute discussion of how he manipulated and hurt other people.
Wow.
Now, we look at that and you're like, why the hell would you do that? Why would you go to someone that you want to build a relationship with and basically talk about all the people that you've hurt? You know, the result of that phone call? I had nothing but admiration and respect for that man because he led with vulnerability when 99.9% of us would never do that.
Yep.
The reality is I'm really, 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 really freaking good at one thing and one thing only, and that's showing up in a room, owning up to the fact that I may not actually belong in that room, but I am so damn grateful and I will be as vulnerable as needed because guess what, guys? You guys actually don't like connect with people through your masks. You guys ever like connected with someone and you're
Yep.
bullshitting and acting like you make $1 million a month and they're bullshitting and they act like they make $1 million a month? Guess what? Are you guys actually going to be friends? No. What's going to happen is the
Right.
next time you guys are in a room with each other, you're going to try to scramble and remember the lie that you told them, and they're going to do the same. What's going to happen is you'll have an inauthentic, inorganic relationship, and it's built on a false pretense. But if you're vulnerable and you're honest, and you own up to all the horrors that have happened in your life, you own up to your faults, to your insecurities, you own up to all of these things, you will actually only connect with that person. And guess what? While he was doing that on this call today, I wasn't judging him. I was actually stunned. And I went on this while he was talking, I went on a journey in my brain to think about, did I ever inadvertently manipulate a human being? And should I own up to that? And then I had a moment of clarity in my life where I'm like, damn, there was times where I hurt people, whether I wanted to or not. And am I disserving them? Am I dishonoring them by not owning up to it like this man is today? And guess what happened? By doing so, by combating and owning up to his own faults, he actually pushed me to be a better human being this morning. And now guess what? Every time I have a discussion with that human being moving forward, it will be built on an essence of vulnerability. It will be built on an essence of authenticity. Guys, this guy makes about like $200,000 every 10 days. It's an extremely high performer. It's only a matter of time before we do business together. It's only a matter of time before we make $1 million together. But guess what? Our foundation of our relationship was built on honesty and integrity and ethics and vulnerability and just taking that chance of being vulnerable. I think it is one of the greatest slept on strategies out there. And if you guys don't believe me, look at Ed Milet. Like
Yep.
Ed Milet, I mean, you've seen him speak. Is he not one of the most impactful speakers out there?
Absolutely,
if I'm in a room with Ed on stage and he's usually telling the story about maybe his father's death, I look over and women, I'm sorry, this is true, half the women in the room are going to be crying. They'll be bawling their freaking eyes out. So Ed Milet is a man you've never met in your life. You've never had a discussion with. He's on a stage. You've never met him. You know actually nothing about him. And in a 20-minute speech, he moves you so emotionally that you actually start breaking down crying. How did he do it? Did he talk about his success? Did he talk about the fact that he's worth $1 billion? Hell no. He told you the most vulnerable or hurtful story in his life. The stories that we want to gatekeep, the stories that hurt us, the stories that we don't want getting out into the daylight because we're ashamed of them or we're embarrassed or they just hurt. He leads with that.
Mm-hmm.
And he owns it and he delivers it and he even will cry on stage. So what did Ed Milet do? In front of not one person, but 1,000 people in the arena, he led with vulnerability. So he does it on stage. I've just gotten to a point where I understand that leading with vulnerability behind closed doors in those private rooms, guess what, guys? That's what makes people realize that you're there for the right reasons. It's what will also filter away the people that you don't want to have a relationship with. And most importantly, and this is true, I have a track record to prove it. Trev, you know this. I get re-invited to those rooms every 5 minutes of my life. So every time there's another event, I am on the short list to come back. Why? Because every time I show up again, people relate, they resonate. People, like Josh says, I wear my emotions on my sleeves. Can't hide your heart. Josh Archer is one of the most beautifully articulate human beings I've ever met. If he met Ed Milet and just had a private moment with him and he had a heart to heart, him and Ed Milet would become best friends. Because vulnerability, it transcends mass, it transcends bullshit, it transcends everything, and it's what gets you the re-invite all day, every day.
Couldn't agree more, brother. Couldn't agree more. Sam, we are down to our last 11 minutes of the time here. So my suggestion would be, just like we typically do, let's open it up for some Q&A. I know there's some questions out there that people want to fire your way, man. We already got Mr. Kennedy raising his hand. There you go, Billionaire Pete. Kennedy, I'm going to unmute you. Yeah, there you go. And fire away, brother.
Uh-oh, muted still.
Oh, hold on. Let's get you unmuted here, Kennedy. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, number one, what was the name of that book again? Was that The Laws of Power?
The 48 Laws of Power.
48 Laws of Power.
Now, I'm going to say this, man. I think at some point, truthfully, everyone at some point in your entrepreneurial journey should go ahead and at least know what that book is about, because the unfortunate truth is that probably 90 to 95% of people worth over 100 million have read it and they've studied it. Hopefully not to weaponize it against other human beings, but most people, I would say, at some point have read it or studied it to know when it is being used on them, and it becomes a defense mechanism. It's kind of like that thing with martial arts, right? When you go to the sensei and the sensei says, I'll teach you, but with the promise that you can never utilize what I'm going to teach you, right? So if your intention is to read the 48 Laws of Power to find 48 new ways to gain power, then please don't freaking read the book. Like, you're probably not the right person to do it, or you're not in the right stage of life, in your season, in your mindset to want to be the person to do it. If you want to find out what it's about to spot other people weaponizing it in unethical ways, that's the only reason I would ever recommend you even look into it. And I'd say don't read it, just figure out what it's about, do some synopsis stuff, and that's it. But yeah, guys, it's an extremely dark book. It will, like, unless you go into it with the right frame of mind, it will send you into a little bit of a spiral for a minute.
Yeah, Sam, I think you're an amazing person. You have some amazing stories. Do you have is there a way we can contact you directly?
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. Instagram is like my preferred way, because I can also, for all you monkeys who have Androids out there, I can actually send you audio messages on Instagram. So yeah, Instagram would be great.
So what is your
I got you. I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. It is at Arch Samsung. Oh no, I sent that to someone privately. Oopsie. Let me do this. Boom. Yeah. Or you just go look up Samsung on Instagram. I should come up. There's not too many people with that name out there. But thank you, man. That means a lot to me.
Thanks, Kennedy.
Hey, sir.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming tonight. All right, Billionaire Pete. Let's get you unmuted here, man.
Hopefully my mic's working.
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. Sam, it's great to see you again. Appreciate you joining us for a second time. At the risk of seeming like a taker, I'm going to remind you that you planted the seed that you're coming back for a third time. Don't forget that.
You know what? I'll say this. I'll say that if Trev absolutely cannot get anyone more fun than me, and other people who are worth way more are too busy, or he just can't afford them anymore, I absolutely will. But I'll say this, Trev, because we were supposed to do this today. If I do come back, my one ask is, because this will be like proximity talk 3.0. I would love to be able to do it based on, like, actually formally starting a podcast or throwing meetups, and strategically how to do outreach, how to get people on, how to do it all for free, by the way. Fun fact, guys, even the billionaires, even the TV stars, even the pro athletes that we've had on the podcast, we've never shelled out a single penny to do so. And I think there is an art there. So if Trev would have me back, if the boys would have me back, I would love to make it all about that.
That's amazing. I have a feeling we'll be seeing you again. So I seriously appreciate you being here for the second time. And thanks for, your comment really hit me. Obviously, you got to show up authentic, right? We all know that. But I never thought about showing up vulnerable. And I think that's just unbelievably powerful. And I just want to thank you for that idea that you gave us tonight.
It's an honor, man. Thank you. It's so good to see you again, by the way. So good to see you, brother.
Oh, thank you. Very, very kind. Thank you. Great to see you.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate you as always. Joel, what's happening, brother? Let's get you on here and get you unmuted. For some reason, bro, we can't hear you, even though it says that you're unmuted.
Yeah.
There we go.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Good to see you guys again after a long while.
You too, bro.
Yeah, so as Sam was saying, right, the 48 laws of power, right? I don't know if it's the most authentic way, but like if you want to be like authentic, right, like reaching out to multiple people, right? Like there's like a fear of asking for help, right? I think a lot of us here have that. Like when we say leading with value, right? Like we know to lead with value, but like some people I think are always getting stuck and then they never ask for the thing they want. Like they're not being they're not going and taking that action. Like for anything, like your sellers or your partners or your peers or even the leaders in the group. So I noticed like I want to just make it clear, like what is the way you ask people for help, or like what is the way you break free of that, the inside, the fear. Like otherwise I feel like if you're quiet and don't say anything, you're not gonna get out of your situation.
Right. So the whole idea is this, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. And that's a reality of the world. So here's what I want you to do. And I'm going to challenge your preconceived notion on the fact or on the idea that you have to go in for and ask. One thing that I'm actually perfecting right now is that I don't ask anymore. When I have a mentor, when I have a friend or a colleague that I want to do a collaboration with, I'm not going to name them, but there is one of my mentors who she's going to do about 15, 16 million this year. Okay. And she's crushing. Actually, I'm gonna take it one step further. I'm gonna talk about somebody who's doing a little bit more. They did $65 million last year. They've done $82 million year to date. They will finish the year probably at about $112 million in revenue. Phenomenal performer. One of the biggest in the game. They're going to be a billionaire in the next probably 3 to 4 years. And this person makes way more money than me, is way more connected than I'll ever be right now, right? So how the hell do I build a relationship with them? And how do I go for an ask? Maybe the ask is getting them on the podcast. Maybe the ask is doing some content. Maybe the ask is throwing an event together and sharing a stage together, right? Those are all phenomenal asks. But how do you do it and when do you do it, right? And the answer, I've learned this, and this is actually a principle taught to me by someone I look up to greatly. His name's Alex Ramosi, and that's that you actually never ask. So what have I been doing? I've just been giving relentlessly every step of the way. There's some things that I do in business that I could see from far away. This person who's about to do 100 million this year, I could see that there were parts of things that I was doing in my business that they weren't doing in theirs. Why? Because they're just not a full-time at this game of real estate investing the way that I am. So even though they're making 100 million in something else, it doesn't mean that I don't know things that they don't know, right? Or I know things that they don't know. And so what do? I basically take this thing that's making me a ton of money. It is an amazing, like very nuanced strategic thing that we do that I probably won't share with anyone else. And I basically packaged it and productized it and just gave it to them. And I showcased, hey, here's how I'm doing something extremely freaking unique that has an infinite ROI. And because I want you to win, I hope you can implement it. And I've actually curated the product and I formulated it in a way not to give to you, because I know they're not going to be the one implementing it, for you to give to your operator so they can digest it, package it, unpack it, implement it, and probably make another $500,000 in the next 12 months. So I just gave like the thing that I've been working on for a long time. I gave that away. And then this person inherently gives me a call very shortly after. And all the things that people gatekeep, I'm like, how much more can I give away? What secret sauce have I come up with that I have learned that I don't want any of my competition knowing? How can I just relentlessly give it to him and hope he takes it and hopes that he and I don't even collaborate on it? So I just give and I give and I give and I give and I give. Lo and behold, that person actually shot me a text the other day, like, we need to jump on a call. We need to jump on a Zoom. You and I are actually going to like throw an event together in person. We're going to speak on stage together. This person's making 100 million. With my other mentors doing about 15, 16 million this year, I have driven her so much value. I've driven her clients. I've actually, just through the affiliate side of things, made her probably $300,000 in the last like 4 or 5 months. That's a lot of freaking value.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what I keep doing. Every time she reaches out to me, or for the longest time, she would reach out to me saying thank you. I actually kept leaving her on red. I kept leaving her on red. I didn't respond, but guess what? I'd keep sending her people. I'd keep making sure she made more money. And then eventually she literally hunted me down and was like, you're going to fucking talk to me. We're going to jump on a call. We're going to do something together. And now she and I are working on an extremely amazing product offering together, a service offering together. And that's probably going to collectively make us $1 million in the next 12 months. So the answer is, if you're worried about that, bro, give so much. This is the human law of reciprocity. We feel bad when other people pour into us over and over and over again, and we haven't reciprocated.
Mm-hmm.
That guilt, guys, guilt will kill people. Guilt stacks, it snowballs, it's brutal. So make them feel guilty by giving them so damn much that they will hunt you down. Like, that's the answer, bro. Don't ask. Don't go for the ask. Actually, don't go for the ask until, and don't even ask. They will come to you and then be like, huh. And they're going to say like, hey, Joel, I want to do something with you. I want to do something. And then you, in your mind, you're like, I want to throw an event with this person. That's what you actually want. Don't ever even ask it then. Let them come to that conclusion. Then Joel, you're going to be like, well, what are you thinking? What can we do together? And then guess what's going to happen? You, through neuro-linguistic programming, are going to trick them into saying, Joel, let's throw an event together. It's what you wanted the whole time. But guess what? They asked it, not you. That's the game that I'm playing right now.
Man.
It's the funnest game I get to play.
It's just such an awesome game.
That's great. Joel, thank you for your question, man. And thanks for being here tonight.
No problem, Trevor.
Sam, we got one more question to fire away from Ed. But before we do that, everybody take out your phones. Please take out your phones. Y'all know how we like to roll. We always got to show our celebrity guests some crazy love. Take out your phones, hit the camera. Let's get the pic to drop on social media and show our brother Sam some love. All right, 1, 2, 3. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Awesome. Ed, let's bring you on here, and you'll be the last one for tonight.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
What up? How are you, Sam? Long time. Well, actually, I saw you more recently than actually I thought, but didn't have a question until everyone started talking. I thought of a few, but I just want to say, obviously, good seeing you as always. Happy you're able to jump on here again, and looking forward to the third one, obviously. But one of the questions that you had mentioned books and talking about a few of them, just kind of get an idea of how many books have you read, and do you like try to set out a goal to read every year, let's say, or monthly, however you set that?
How many books do you guys think I read about relational building, about business, about entrepreneurship? Like, put a number in the chat. I'm actually really curious.
Over under, I guess.
So my arch people and Dave Gulick, who medium wave Dave, holy crap. That's how I know MFC is crushing it. If you guys got medium wave Dave on a Zoom, well, holy crap, that's amazing.
I saw him pop in at the beginning. I was like, uh-oh, we just leveled up this thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Come on.
Guys, the answer is actually none. I don't read. One, because I graduated summa cum laude with a master's degree. I feel like I've learned and read enough in my life. I believe books are absolutely freaking amazing. I think that books are messengers. They are conduits for growth. And that is true. And I may be disserving myself right now for the season that I'm in, but I'm a huge advocate of understanding the season that you're in and the season that you want to get to, and what's it going to take for you to get from point A to point B. The season that I'm in right now actually doesn't need more information. It needs more implementation. It needs me to be an executor. That's what I'm focusing on. So later down the road, am I going to get heavily into reading? You bet. I am going to go into a cave for the next 90 days, truly, throughout the end of this year, to start reading a lot more. But the books that I'm going to be reading, because they apply to the season that I'm in, if this is not you, I'm not telling you to go get these books, is pretty much all of Alex Hormozi's content, because that's the implementation that I need. That being said, I think there are books that completely are in my timeline to read, because I have gotten to a point where I know that I am entering a season soon where that is the requirement. I need to broaden my horizons. I need to broaden my growth. And up until now, my specialty is don't go read Think and Grow Rich. Go talk to the biggest fan of Think and Grow Rich and ask them what the best principles were and get all that information in 5 minutes. That's me being efficient, right? But I know at some point it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to have to do it yourself. So books like the 48 Laws of Power are absolutely on the horizon. That is an unfortunate truth. It's really, really, really funny. Guys, I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form, but this was told to me this past weekend by someone that I look up to. And this has nothing to do with religion, it has nothing to do with spirituality, but they said this. They said, Sam, do you know what the greatest book on sales is? Guys, let me know, what book do you think it is? And this like actually forced me, because the message came from someone that I respect. They said the Bible. They said the Bible is the greatest book on sales ever written. And I thought about that, and I'm like, what the hell do you mean? And then I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I was like, holy crap, I think they're right. So for the sake of business and becoming a better entrepreneur and a better business owner, I'm going to read things like the 48 Laws of Power to see the darkness in the world. I'm going to read the Bible to hopefully offset that and read about what love looks like and what abundance looks like. There's an amazing kind of duality there. But I am going to get into a season of reading. But unfortunately, the truth is I get asked this question like on every podcast I go into, and they always end it with, what's your favorite book that you're reading right now? And I'm like, none. But we'll get there. We'll absolutely get there. By the way, it is amazing to see you, bro. It's so good to always see you.
Likewise, man. Well, I do have one more question, and I hope we get to ask this one actually more. Is there anything from this community, from myself, and I'm sure I'm gonna volunteer Trevor, even though I don't think I need to. What do you need from us? Is there anything you need at the moment that you could use from this community?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, this is something that I'm learning. And I don't mean this to, and I'm not going to say this to sound braggadocious, but I truly do mean this. I'm entering a season of my life where I'm starting to have to protect my energy. And what that means is guys, if you guys have texted me, you should know that I don't text back. And it's not because I don't want to, it's because I literally right now have over 500 unread text messages. And it is becoming overwhelming. And in order for me to serve my employees, to serve my team, to serve my family, to serve my loved ones, and to serve brothers like Trevor and Ed, I need to start protecting my energy. And one thing that I'm really quickly starting to understand is when people reach out to me, are they there because they actually give a damn about me? Will they care about me 2 weeks after I die? The answer is no. Then I'm not going to give them my time, and I'm not going to give them my energy because I only have so much of it. So the one thing I will say is this, is you can't do something for free. And it is absolutely continue to be, I am not joking. When Trev asked me to come back on for part 2, I literally said yes faster than he finished the text message. I could sense it. He hadn't even hit sent yet. He was about to say, Sam, could you? And yes, I'm there. Why? Because this is one of the most genuine communities I've ever seen. And I'm in a lot of communities. You guys know that I'm in mentorships and I'm in groups. And there is something special about this spot, about this family. So please keep leading with abundance, lead with love, lead with generosity and giving. Be curious about each other. Do that. And I swear to God, you guys make me a better person. I hope that answers.
Outstanding.
Sam, always good seeing you, brother.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate you.
Definitely.
All right, fellow freedom chasers, let's bring it home. Sam, I mean, bro, this was phenomenal. Thank you for the activation juice. Yeah, this is the activation Zoom, right? Sunday activation Zoom. And you just hit a home run, brother. And I mean, I really appreciate Ed's last question, right? Like, what can we do for you, right? You didn't pitch us on anything. You just pump value and activation into all the freedom chasers here for us to continue our freedom chasing journey starting tomorrow morning. So super thankful. Everyone, please show Sham some love on the social media game. Art, can you drop your handle again one more time, Sam?
Yeah, I got it.
So everybody knows.
I'll drop it right now. It's the same on YouTube, and it's
okay. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. It's the same on YouTube. It's the same on Instagram. One thing that if I do have a selfish ask, plug in on both Instagram and YouTube, because in an effort to give, I will say this, and I'm so sorry for this shameless plug, but I want to do it. I look at people like Trevor, and I look at how much he gives and how much you guys have received in this community, because he's so obsessed with freaking giving. Same thing goes with Marcel. Same thing goes with Victor. These are like true brothers to me. I realized that I wasn't giving enough. So in an effort to, in loving spiritual competition, I am going to start competing with Trevor in how much value I can give the world. I know I'm going to lose, but I'm going to play that game, and I'm going to play it on Instagram. So, but that's it. Thank you guys so much.
That's a worthy game and an honorable competition, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take you up on that, bro. I'll take you up on that.